Hi, Don. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I stopped him from talking. We get online first, and I got to hit the live. Takes a while. Okay. This is rather exciting. I saw Adam's post this morning. Put it up. Great video, and I put on there. Oh, maybe he'll call in. And of course, he's got nothing else to do but social media, and he saw that and immediately called. So here we are. So what's happening right now? Where you are? Show us around. Just to give us a feel for where you
Okay,
are and what's going on.
I'll give you a quick tour. We're in the cabin at the moment, um, and here's the cockpit, and that's what I got up. Just the A3 at the moment, and we've got light winds. I'd say about maybe 8 or 10 knots. It's just starting to pick up a little bit. Um, so yeah, we've had good winds up until the last 24 hours, and then they've just died off a little bit.
Yeah, you must. Yeah, I don't care what you think, but I reckon you're having an absolute ball. I mean, it looks too good.
Yeah, this past really since the Marquesas, we've just had some real champagne sailing. It's been I've been very lucky. I had a great passage from the Marquesas. I got a few very small squalls, but nothing like some of the others have had, and got close to the atolls and had a good look at those, which was fun. And so far, this trip as well has been really good, and everything on the boat's working well, which is great.
Yeah, fantastic. You look like you've opened up a sari, which is a Philippine little local shop, just behind you there. Is that all your snacks hanging up in there? It's meant to be full of fruit, like
Yeah,
papaya and bananas and.
well, that's about the last of my fruit there, and I've got a few lemons there, and I've got I think maybe one banana left. So I've pretty much gone through my fresh fruit. I'm on to tinned fruit and usual sort of boat food.
Yeah, listen, you also look really shipshape and Bristol fashion. I've seen a few, we've had a few discussions, and generally the fleet, sometimes when you look down in the boat while you're underway, it's a bit of chaos, but you look pretty organised there. It looks like you're just on a weekend cruise.
Well, it's been, I guess this is what comes of having good conditions. You can keep things ship shape, and everything has a home, and everything goes into where it's supposed to go. I think after 12 difficult hours, the boat would look very different.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I love your message. Just as I sent Adam the link to come on live, he sent back the message, "Do I need clothes?" And I thought, "Oh, this could be fun." I said, "No, you don't need clothes. You control the camera."
Yeah,
But anyway, having seen you with your shirt off and all the rest of it, you're looking pretty healthy. Do you feel healthy?
yeah, I feel very good. Uh, this. I think the heat. You just gradually get a little bit more used to the heat as it goes on. Currently in the cockpit, in the cabin, it's 32 degrees. I tend to be outside most of the time, but middle of the day, when the sun's right up, it gets a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I feel good, and it's funny. It just seems to. I know we've been sailing for thousands of miles, but it just has taken me more than I expected just to ease into solo sailing and life on long passages. But I think I'm just about there now.
10,000 miles later.
Yeah,
That's encouraging. The people who are going to do the Transat think it's the ultimate, sort of blah, blah, blah. And you're saying it takes you this long to settle in. Now you're becoming old man of the sea, well, moderate man of the sea, not old man. And, yeah, do you think of John Guswell much? Do you just sort of look back at the history and quantify or check the reality of what's actually happening? Like you're a long way around the world now.
yeah. I'm just sort of. I think my headspace is just starting to get there now, and I do reflect back on Trekker and John Guswell. I also I've read Joshua Slocum's book a couple of times, and yeah, it's really inspirational. And I think uh, as time goes on, and as you start looking at the map of the world, and you see I'm now exactly 12 hours behind the UK, you realise you've actually come quite a long way.
Yes, absolutely. And there's no going back now because it's all upwind. You got to keep going. You're sailing home now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's quite a good feeling as well. I know we've got more miles to go than halfway, but it does feel like we're sort of on the turn almost.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this all happened because of your comment that, well, I forget who wrote the post, but about the self-steering gear. But you said the repairs are holding up. Was that referring back to the Marquesas, or you had another problem, or what?
No, if you remember I had quite a big fracture in the main bracket that holds the
Yeah,
self-steering gear, and that was round about Galapagos. And then um, South Atlantic have been really brilliant. They sent a replacement out, which I got in Tahiti. But what I was able to do was get the fractured part welded up really well in the Marquesas. So it's really since the Marquesas to here that I've had a fully functioning wind vane, and that's it just makes all the difference. I've been a fan of the South Atlantic from the beginning, and I think thanks to the great customer feedback that we get from South Atlantic, that you do have to keep an eye on it. But every time there's a change, it's upgraded, and so far I'm really pleased. I've got it, and when it's working properly as it is at the moment, it's absolutely great.
yeah. I'm a bit the same way. I mean, no disrespect to any wind vane, but I think the South Atlantic matches the 580 really well. Not too heavy, and it's not super expensive, and it quite fast responsing. Survey pendulum's cool, and they have been very receptive since the first trip we did across the Atlantic in 21. They've looked at all the suggestions and pretty much building them in, so it's getting better and better, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Just some of the actual fabrications getting beefed up, um, but they're a bit of a sort of dark art when you first start working with them, but they are fundamentally very simple bits of kit. There's not an awful lot that you need to adjust. So yeah, I've really enjoyed. That's probably been the part of sailing that I've enjoyed as much is getting to know how to use it properly. And I must
Yeah.
be a slow learner because it has taken thousands of miles to get there, but I think I'm just about there now.
Yeah, that's cool. So, how's the rest of the boat? What's happening on board? With the rig and the sails and just everything. It's all going okay, or issues, or what?
No, all good. I was tempted to run with twin jibs from Tahiti, but I haven't. I could always put the second jib up, but so far I've been able to, when I've been dead downwind, I've either had a jib and A7 or A7 and A5, and that's worked okay. So the sails have been fine. I've used the main a little bit at the beginning, but not so much now. Um, I've had to change a couple of the sheets. There was some chafe and wear on the sheets, so that's good. I did an awful lot of adjustments in Antigua after the transatlantic crossing in terms of deck fittings, and they've made a big difference. So I've got stuff where I want it now, and changing sails and adjusting sails is a lot easier than it was at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. You said that you haven't used the main much. Is that what you just mentioned? The
Yeah, so I've been running most of it. I'm on a broad reach now, but up until about yesterday evening, I've been pretty much running the whole way. So um, I prefer running with head sails rather than main, um, and that's what I've been doing. If we get onto a genuine broad reach, I'll put some main up. But if with the moment we're sort of in between a run and broad reach, and the A3 is I tried A3 and A7, but actually the boat goes quicker with just the A3. The A7 was stealing some wind off the A3, so I'm just sticking with A3 at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. And so everyone's interested in food. How you do you get hungry in terms of I'm hungry? Oh, I can't wait to eat that, or is it just a process now? You just I got to eat again.
Well, Yeah, I tend to be fairly structured, so I get up and have my muesli. I've moved on to powdered milk from UHT, uh, which I had to because I couldn't get any small UHT stuff in the Marquesas, and I'm a complete convert now. I love powdered milk. It's a lot easier,
That's
and
because
it's
you can make it
like
thick. You can put too much in.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I
A
know what you mean.
couple of big teaspoons in your coffee, and it tastes like cream in it. It's lovely. Uh, I've, I'm afraid to say I think I've fallen out of love with sardines. That's probably the breaking news of this call.
Oh
Um,
no,
I've
yeah.
had I've had sardines for at least one tin for the last 5 months, and I'm not sure I could really look at a tin straight in the eye anymore. So I've got about five left. So I've moved on to tuna. So that muesli breakfast, tuna at about 11 o'clock, and then I normally have a tin of something like chili or uh, something with some sort of protein in it in the evening with some powdered mashed potato or pasta.
Oh, well, that's good. You'll be happy to know that the usual deal in the Tongan supermarkets is tinned fish, right, and tinned corned beef. So
Okay,
you'll
well,
have what
I
you'll
haven't
have a
tried
new
it.
choice.
Yeah, exactly. I'll maybe get on to the corned beef, see how that goes.
Yeah, that's true. So what's your favourite snacks or favourite taste sensation on board at the moment? What's left?
My favorite at the moment is a tin of plain tuna squeezed in with one of the lemons from Tahiti and a little bit of Hellman's mayonnaise, and mix that up on. I'm pretty much well. I have now run out of bread, so I'm on to little sort of biscuits of some sort, and that's probably my favorite.
Jeepers, I wish I was there. You're looking really healthy. You got bloody muscles on the back of your neck there. Maybe they were there before and I didn't notice, but you're looking really fit.
Well, I think I've lost a bit of weight, so there's not a lot of stuff other than what you're seeing now.
Okay, fair enough. So, okay, so we got the food there. Now, tell me, everyone's interested. Ever since you were bragging about your super dunny, your bucket head with the seat and all the rest of it, I don't want to know what you're doing, but I'm interested to know how you're doing it. Is it all working? Is that little rim around the thing? And just explain at first for those who didn't get to see your super dunny, right? Just walk us through it.
So it's just a piece of wood with a hole in it that runs in the gap in between the two bunks in the cabin, and then in that inside that piece of wood there's a little shelf that I can shove a bucket under. And it's so I've actually when it's really bad weather and it's a bit too dangerous to be in the cockpit without being tied on, I use it. But if the weather's like this, then I do just not bother with the bit of wood and just go outside and just free fall into the bucket.
Ah, that's perfect. Okay, so you just dump over the side rather than the bucket.
It's just having the options, Don. You've got to have options.
I know. Oh, I'm an expert, but what I find, because I'm a naked sailor, like yourself, and I have to put a t-shirt on, though. I got to put a t-shirt on to go and have a dump because I got to stuff the toilet paper in your here and up your sleeve there and this, that, and the other because there's nowhere to put it out there. So it's quite fun. It was, yeah, there's certain processes that each of the solo sailors adopt. But that was my deal. I had to put a t-shirt on because there was nowhere to stick the paper.
It wasn't because of modesty, was it? In case some cruise liner came past and they didn't want to see you all naked.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I haven't. Holiday Dan, is always bragging about that. The media made a big deal because I used to call myself the Naked Sailor when I was there, and Dan picked up on that, and they just locked in. This is before he's left Adelaide. All they wanted to know about, you're going to sail naked. Holy dooly, that was the story. We lost you. Oh, that's not censorship. We might have lost the link there, but anyway, that was a bit of fun. We've been going for 15 minutes. Hopefully he'll come back. No, it looks like it's dead. We may have lost him. He'll probably... Oh, here we go. You're back again. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for entertainment? Music or audio books or just YouTube movies? Do you have movie nights?
Yeah, I, me, Audiobooks is my go-to. I've got a Kindle which I use a little bit, but audiobooks are good. I've just finished reading or listening to something called um, "The Riddle of the Sands"
Oh
by
yeah, I read the book a long time
Childers,
ago.
which
Yeah.
Captain Coconut put me on to. So that was great. I told him to listen to The Incredible Journey of Harold Fry, which if you haven't listened to that, you ought to read that. That's a good one. So I'm looking for new inspiration for audiobooks. If anybody's got any ideas.
Yeah, gee, I don't know. I don't know what's on audio. I've got good books, but anyway, that's cool. So, how much time are you spending on social media? Like, you check out all the
Um,
other posts and stuff?
no, I don't really. I've got a friend back in Ireland who I just send him content and he puts the posts together. He's a very good sailor himself, so he and I have sort of built up quite a good relationship, and he's completely responsible for my social media. So I tend to log in and just see what he's put up, and occasionally we'll come across one or two of the others, but I don't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah,
So, yeah, football results, racing results, seeing what's going on in the world, that sort of thing. I try to avoid the news, but everything else that might be of interest, I'll check up on.
yeah, cool. And do you get on the tracker often to see where the other entrants are, and then start getting pissed off, thinking, "Oh, I better go and change that, or I better bloody, you know, get faster somehow." Do you do a bit of that? Oh, stalled. Oh, jeepers! It was going to be a key answer. Oh, we lost him again. The Starlink terminal will be probably sitting on deck outside, and as it's rolling, it's not getting the signal. It's not a marine antenna. The marine. Oh, here we go. Back again. I missed that answer, so we lost your signal.
Yeah, sorry. I was saying I'm just weaving around a little bit. The wind's picked up.
Yeah,
So the track is great when I'm going faster and I'm sailing well, and I look at it a lot. But not going so great, not sailing very well, and I tend to think it's not worth looking at.
yeah. That's a good answer. I like that. Just turn it off and continue
Yeah,
enjoying yourself. Yeah, I think you're sailing very much like me. You don't want to go slow, but you want to enjoy the ride. So there's a level of cost benefit, and usually, being comfortable is more important. So what about bangs and bruises? Like, you've obviously your back is not a problem now, touch wood. But any other knocks, bangs, bruises, or whatever, rashes, or
no,
health stuff?
no, I've been fine. Touch wood, I haven't had any issues. I had the ribs coming across the Atlantic, but I think I've sort of worked out. As long as I've got both hands holding on to something when I'm not sitting down, that seems to be the way to stop scary moments happening. So I've always got both hands holding on to a guardrail or something that doesn't move. And I think the problem I had before when I hit my ribs was it was just a real split second that I took one hand off to get to another handhold, and I lost balance. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I've been fit and healthy, and may that continue.
yeah. Okay, so try. I'm interested. Like, I used to absolutely. No, I put it another way. I've had like 17 boats or something, and I never get emotionally connected, or you sort of do. I don't know whether you're hearing this. Oh, yeah, we go. I've had a lot of boats, and I never really feel as if I own the boats. You're just on them, you use them. It's like a tool, this, that, and the other. But with Tracker, I really seriously enjoyed that really emotional feeling of being on a cool little boat in the middle of the ocean. Can you describe your emotional connection to this boat that you've built, and you're now sailing the oceans? Like, how do you really feel about it?
Yeah, I mean the bond continues to get stronger and stronger. I think is probably the maybe the way of finishing off. But you feel you own and are part of every single bit of the boat, and as the boat continues to to perform and keep you safe and deal with 3-4 meter seas and deal with squalls. Your bond to the boat gets stronger and stronger. So I find myself when I'm signing off on messages now and emails, I'm often signing off from me and little Wren. So she does feel like she's become an absolute part of me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, and obviously, you go one step at a time. It's human nature. Your next objective is Tonga, and then you're probably already thinking about Fiji. Do you drift further along and start thinking about Cape Town or Saint Helena? Like wow, Cape Town now, Saint Helena, then it's back home. Do you sort of ponder that very much?
Yeah, I ponder that a lot. I'm already reading quite a lot about, particularly about the passage from Mauritius to Cape Town. I'm trying to get some contacts in the sailing community in South Africa because I'm a huge fan of local knowledge, and people down there that have sailed that part of the world a lot, I think would be really valuable to all of us. So I'm got some feelers out for that. Um, the Torres Strait passage is going to be really interesting. I quite enjoy that. The more navigation for me, the better. That's the bit that I enjoy. I guess having been a coastal sailor all the time, that's what I've grown up doing. Um, but you can't help but consider what's in front, because the more you read about it and the more you talk to people, I think the challenges are in front of us, not behind us. Yeah, we've had the longest passage now. We've done that, but I think in terms of battening down the hatches and getting the boat ready for some heavy weather sailing is likely to be in front, not behind.
Yeah, well, the good news is we have absolutely the best contacts you could ever hope for in Durban. The whole of the sailing community there is on fire. We've got great communications, the yacht club there and OSS and all that sort of stuff. They're all excited about coming. In fact, they're asking me all the time, can we, blah, 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 want to know exactly when. And so everything is organised for Durban, and it's fantastic because I've got to say, that is the most important one. So you will all have unlimited local knowledge all the way around the corner to Cape Town. So we're really lucky there. I'm very, but you'll hear all about that when you get to Fiji. We've got great support there. So that's
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. And you're right. Now that you're finally settled after 10,000 miles, which is part of the process. Is what we all said. It's going to be the toughest. When you get leaving Mauritius, that's when it gets serious. But those that have made it to Mauritius will be as attuned and ready to go as you possibly could be. So you're doing a
yeah.
particularly good job. Particularly good job. So what are you looking forward to when you get to Fiji? What's because that's going to be a big break. What's your plans?
Well, the thing I'm looking forward to most is my right hand is going to meet me there. Kerry's coming out, who's he's going to be there for about 3 weeks, so that'll be brilliant. That's Kerry, race manager, wife, psychologist, nutritionalist, every other thing that you can imagine. So that's probably the biggest highlight. Um, I think we all really loved Tahiti because we had a chance to tie up somewhere and clean the boats, sort the boats out. I don't think we're going to get much of a chance to do that in Tonga, so I think Fiji will be great for that. Um, and just a little bit of downtime, perhaps take your mind off sailing for a few weeks. I think will be really good. And
Yeah.
also just getting to see Fiji, which I think is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great place. I got to say, I'm sure everyone will be having a ball. We've got quite a few people here now. I'm just going to scan through to see if anyone's got any questions. So, how do you solve the yawing of the wind vane from Warren?
Um, so if I've got seas coming from the quarters, I tend to put my two fins down, and that tends to steady the boat quite well. So that's number one. Um, Playing around with a weight on the wind vane is also a bit of an art, and it reacts to very small movements in the pendulum weight. So if it's yawing a lot, tend to just let the weight down a little bit. And ultimately, you sometimes get conditions you've just got to hand steer.
Yeah, you bring up a point there, and this is what I always say about wind vanes. It's art and science, and you got to learn how to fly it. You got to fly. There's so many variations, and a lot of people don't get it. The weight going up and down, the vane going forward and back, where you attach your
Yeah,
lines to the tiller. You can slide them forward or back. So there's a lot of different things, and
yeah,
importantly, you just mentioned the most important part is the sails. Keep pulling from the front
yeah,
whenever you can, because if you're on a
yeah,
beam reach or a beam, just reaching, you don't yaw as much. As soon as it comes behind, you got to get the sails going forward. But anyway,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool. Yep. I am the guy's name is called I am. If you were to build your boat again, would you change anything?
If I were to build it again, would I change anything? Um, I think in terms of the actual, the bits that we've got flexibility on, which is, I think it was D frame where you could build out a little bit, so you've got a more of a easy access into the cabin. Um, I don't think I would change that. Initially, I thought I would, but actually, muscle memory kicks in, and you just get good at using what you've got. Um, I've got plenty of storage. I don't mean to say I've built the perfect boat because I know I haven't, but I'm not sure I would change anything at the moment. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. He says you're an inspiration, by the way, as well. So
Very kind.
another one from Storen. Do you have a helmet on board? You got a helmet?
I don't have a helmet. I know we're all going to have helmets from Fiji onwards, which is a new rule coming in, and I think it's a really good thing. I've got two preventers that I use, and and they're both attached, but sometimes I adjust one to tighten the other without getting too technical, and that allows maybe a 6-inch play on the boom, and that's the vulnerable bit. And even 6 inches on the boom can give you a right good clonk on the head if you're not ready. So I think a helmet's a good idea and nice to have.
Yeah, too true. We're going to do a big debrief like we did in Antigua after the Transat, but that one will be filmed because there was a huge amount of information and tips that came from all the sailors, and we never filmed it for confidentiality reasons. But I think we all agree we got to film the next one, and so
Yeah.
there'll be lots of good stories. Warren suggesting the audio book Robinson Crusoe is a good one. Apparently, the original unabridged version.
Okay.
Um, Okay, what's the biggest sea state you've experienced so far? That's from Mark.
Um, the biggest for me was actually my first 12 hours on this whole adventure, which was leaving Portugal. If you remember, Jasmine and I left a day
Yeah,
before everybody else, and we knew we were going to get hit, but it was a bit of a rude awakening. Um, it happened at night, so I couldn't see an awful lot, but there was water coming over the top of the cabin for many hours. I was lying in the bottom of the cabin. The wind vane was steering me. I had jib and 3 reefs, sometimes just jib only. So that was probably the worst. In terms of swell, I mean, 2 days ago we had 3 to 4 meter swells, but it's very different having 3 to 4 meter swells as against having 3 to 4 meter waves, 3 to 4 meter chop, where you're getting battered, as happened on that first day from Portugal. But as I said before, I'm sure the bigger seas are probably to come in front of us.
yeah, too true. So, how's your? I mean, we're chewing up power now, but how's your electrical system charging and use of power and charging use of power? How's that balance going?
Um, it's it's I can't really fault it. I've got two lithium 100 amp hour batteries. I've got 150 watts of solar. I've got a spare 50-watt solar which I bring out if I need to. Um, I run at night with my AIS on, but my plotter off. I've got a list of all the usage of every device I've got. And for example, last night I went when it got dark. I had a about 95% in one battery, 100% in the other. And this morning it was down to just under 80%, 78 or 79%. And I haven't looked now, but it'll be somewhere back up towards the 80s or 90s again now. So I've got a really straightforward electrical system. I think the lithiums are key, and having an MPPT charger as against any other type of charger is also key. But the only time there's been a struggle is when we've had to charge outboard batteries on passage ready to get into a harbour, and they take about 6 amps an hour to charge, and they take about 20 hours to fully charge from flat. So that can stuff you up a little bit.
Yeah, right. Have you started to think about what you're going to do when this is all over, touch wood? It'll change. It's already changing your life right now. You might not realise it, but it is. Do you think you'll go back into the usual routine, or,
I don't know. Yeah, come back to me on that one another time.
It sounds like you're going to be an ocean bum now. Watch out, Kerry. Anyway, she'll bring you back to reality. So that's cool. All right. So have you checked to see? I forget when you did the anti-fouling last. Did you? But have you checked for barnacles or anything?
Yeah, I checked in Marquesas and Tahiti. I've got copper coat, and I have to say, so far it has been excellent. There is nothing below or on the anti-foul line. Kerry and I've got the same issue. We get a little bit of blistering on the keel. So where I sandblasted the mild steel keel. I then, within minutes of sandblasting it, I put on primer, a 2-part primer. But whether it was not keyed properly, it's a primer issue rather than a copper coat issue. But there is a little bit of blistering on the keel. But in terms of the hull, I don't think it's affected me, to be honest. But in terms of the hull itself, it's been really good.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so well, that's all good to hear. I just had a good question for you, but I lost it. But anyway, I'll just do a final check here to see what's going on. No, everyone's there. Okay, so that's all good. Now tell me, you're doing gangbusters with Ella. I mean, there's lots of different things going on there.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain the latest? What's happening?
Yeah. So just a quick bit of background. I'm supporting the Ella Dawson Foundation. Ella Dawson was a university student at Newcastle, which is my hometown in the northeast of England. And very sadly, she lost her battle against a very aggressive form of cancer, age 24. I met her mum, dad, and sister when I was skippering around the UK adventure holiday, and after a few conversations, we got together, and I'm now supporting them, and we've raised several £1,000s so far out of a target of a lot more. So to be honest, I think it's really mutually beneficial. It really helps me because knowing that me keeping going is going to give them a chance of raising more money is great. I think they like the fact that this is a long journey, and therefore they can, keep rolling the story out to try and raise more money. So it works really well for both of us. They're a great family. It's a small charity, and they provide a service which, in the UK, we've got the NHS, the National Health Service, which does wonderful things medically. But what the Ella Dawson Foundation is give non-medical support, particularly to young adults when they're battling these sort of cancers. So it's a great charity and a great inspiration to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Good on you. Yeah, and them. So that's part of the course. So anything else you want to get across at all? Hang on a sec. There's another one. You should give out a signed copy of. Someone just said I should give you a signed copy of 2 Below Zero. That's our book of living for a year in Antarctica. It only weighs about 4 kilos each. But anyway, so anything else you want to get across to your fans before we sign off?
No, just keep following. Keep the positive mental messages coming through. I'm sure it all helps. I'm loving the journey, and knowing that people are following gives me great support when you get some of the low times. So look forward to catching up with everybody when I get back.
Yeah, too true. Okay, so remember when you get to Tonga, you can clear in Pangai, but when you've had enough there, just go north. Just go north is the best anchorage, about an hour and a half north, and there's some great stuff there. Okay, good to chat, Adam. Thanks for making the link, and we'll do it. Oh, we'll see you in Fiji anyway. There'll be a lot going on there. Yeah, so sounds cool. Okay. Thanks, mate. We'll see you later. I'll get off this. We're going to do the tracker in about 10, 15 minutes or something. We'll come up and do the tracker for those that are waiting. Okay. All right. I'll sign out here and see what happens. See you shortly. Bye-bye.
In the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat. Huge adventure.